welcome to another episode of the EmpowerYou Financial Podcast. I am Eva Palacios, your host.
And I am Damian McGee, your co-host. How are you?
What's up?
Nothing. So with you?
I'm good.
Episode 3, I still have not been fired.
You are still here.
I check the mail every day for a letter that says I've been replaced.
You are crazy.
All right, so what are we talking about today? Do we know?
Yeah.
What is it? Credit repair.
Absolutely.
Credit repair.
A hot topic.
Your favorite topic.
Oh, man. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
All the credit repair people of the world. Why nails on a chalkboard?
Because it drives me nuts to hear all this nonsense.
Like what? So wait, you mean the people on the internet aren't smarter than the government and they can hide all my student loans forever?
Oh my God.
That's my favorite. That's still my favorite one. The people who are like, we'll hide it. Don't worry about it.
How do you hide government debt? Like, really?
I feel like everybody who thinks they're going to outsmart the government and their money ends up in jail. I feel like that's not the advice I want to take. Like literally every people thought they were going to hook up the PPP loans.
Oh,
we see how that's turning out. There's always some accountant who's like, I got a trick to taxes. We see how that turns out. Like,
I don't know, but that's scary. When we talk about state or government type stuff, that's scary stuff. Like, I don't understand how people think that is even possible to hide debt or not pay the government or the state, or to think you can run. Yeah. Like, you might be running, but not for very long.
That's my favorite.
Oh my God.
I always think it's funny because I'm just like, dude, Comcast found you. Like, how do you think? Right? How do you think the government's not going to find you? But hey, go ahead. Whatever works, right?
Oh man.
So, all right. So let's talk about it. So credit repair is everywhere. Everyone and their mom is a credit repair specialist. What makes you not them?
Because I'm not them. And I get, and it's crazy because, I started at a really young age with the company that I worked for. And I guess because I learned the right way and have been doing it the right way for years, that's all I know. But I also, you got to get good with also knowing what else is out there. Is there, who's your competition? Right. What's going on? Like, and be very educated on that space. Not to say, oh, I'm the best and that's it, but why? Right. And you just have to understand that there are laws that protect you as a consumer. Mm-hmm. And yes, there are also laws that protect the creditors. Right. And it's mind blowing to hear all these people throw out all these terms and these laws and, blah, 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 letter form. And I'm just like, who's an attorney? Right. Like, what kind of legal background do you have? I don't even claim, that I have a legal background, but I will say, based on the traditional laws, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the statute of limitations, like those are very basic stuff. But when I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how people can think you could dispute things that are valid to get them removed, knowing darn well this was debt that you acquired and it's still within the statute of limitations and it's not going to go away. Right. So for people to be, convinced to pay for fees and services to get items deleted, like, I'm just like, what in the world?
I love that you said, I don't know if you heard yourself say it. You
convinced.
Said it convinced. I was like, wait a minute, was that on purpose?
Yes, because it's...
Because they're being conned. You think they're being conned?
Absolutely. So
do letter disputes work? Just sending in letters? I mean, is disputing even the way you're supposed to go to clean up your credit? Right? Is that the approach to take?
It's a tool.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean it works for everyone. Mm-hmm. Again, there are laws that protect the consumers, laws that protect the creditors. And at the end of the day, you got to be familiar with these laws to then determine whether or not it's a valid dispute.
Right.
What's crazy is, you have these credit repair services that'll be like, pay me X amount of dollars up front and we'll, dispute and we'll remove everything for you. First off, are they putting it in writing?
Right.
Like, what kind of guarantees?
Right.
Like, I'm going to pay you money. Like, do you guarantee removals?
Right.
Nobody will put it in writing because there's no guarantee, number one. Number two, okay, so they're going to send letters on your behalf, which is something you could totally do yourself.
Yep.
I mean, I coach my clients to dispute things, but honestly, like, and people will always ask, like, you know, can you send these letters for me? And I'm like, no. Like, still to this day, I have never instructed or provided anybody a letter to dispute things with the credit bureaus. Number one, think about it. It's you against billions of other people disputing.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you send these letters to the bureaus. What makes you think they're going to actually read your letter?
Because I'm special and I really want this BMW. So I need y'all to read my letter.
Right?
Yeah.
But, and here's the truth. The truth is, what people don't realize is the credit bureaus, they're a middleman. Mm-hmm. So if you write to the credit bureau saying, I don't owe Macy's $500, please delete this from my credit report.
Right.
The credit bureau's job is to call Macy's or whoever is collecting that debt.
Right.
And when they call, all they're doing is asking Macy's, does Eva Palacio, social, blah, 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 date of birth, blah, 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 owe this money to you?
And Macy's going to be like, yes.
And if the answer is yes, the credit bureaus leave it.
Right, right.
And it doesn't go away.
Right.
But the thing is that I think, and again, like, I don't do credit repair. I'm not in any of those environments to where I see what truly goes on, but I hear, because clients come to me after they've been paying money monthly for months.
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
And they're like, nothing is happening. And I'm like, well, yeah, like, do you owe the debt or not? Because if you do, it's not going away.
Right.
Like, I don't care how many letters go out. And that's the thing is, I truly believe that these companies just continuously send letters back, like all the time, consistently hoping to get these items deleted, when in reality, when an account is being disputed with the credit bureaus, the bureaus temporarily remove that from the credit report.
Wait, so it is coming off for a minute? It's
coming off for a minute because the law says while a consumer disputes a debt, that debt cannot be held against the consumer.
Okay.
Until it's resolved, until it's validated.
Right.
So a lot of the times the items get deleted temporarily and people think it's permanent. So think about it. Okay, so let's say item gets disputed. Bureaus temporarily delete it because they have 30 days to investigate. By law, they got 30 days to investigate.
Yep.
They, investigate, and the creditor says, let's say on 29th day, the creditor comes back and says, no, this debt is valid. Sometimes these credit repair companies show the consumer a nice, clean-looking credit report of everything getting deleted.
Oh, and then it shows right back up the next month.
And then it comes right back on because the credit bureaus have validated the debt.
Right.
And that, I don't know how people feel, but I could only imagine the heart drop.
Yeah.
The dagger to the heart, thinking, oh my goodness, I got these items deleted. Now I can go buy the house, I can go buy the car, I can go do this. And then bam, it comes right back on your credit report. Low blow.
That's crazy.
Low blow.
That's crazy.
And it's frustrating. I totally understand the consumer's perspective and feelings behind it. But it's like, we got to stop paying for these services where we think it's going to get resolved, but no, it has opportunity to come right back.
So what do you tell people? I mean, because you have services that cost. So if someone says, well, you told me not to pay them, why do I pay you? Like, what's the difference?
Let's go. So the difference is you're paying for a consultation. Yeah. You're paying for my year's worth of experience in the industry. Mm-hmm. I can tell you, when I read your credit report, I can tell you, do XYZ, and this is This is how much your credit score will increase. Do XYZ. Now we can start rebuilding credit strategically.
Right.
Do XY. Call the creditors and maybe negotiate settlements or negotiate pay for deletes. Why? Because I've been in the space so long. I know the outcome. Why? Because I'm familiar with all of these creditor names, the collection agencies, the attorneys, that I can tell you, do this and watch this happen.
And you know which ones. You know which will do what. You know which will do this on that day. You know who will say no on this day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you've been in this space for so long, how can you not know this stuff?
Yeah.
And you know, and so then I kind of challenge the clients and say, well, you know, you've been paying this company for how many months? Think of all of those dollars you just spent across time. Chances are what you spent over there is a whole lot more than investing in me. But most importantly, you probably could have made better use of that money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And taken that money and resolved some debt with it.
Absolutely. But all the ads on Instagram say I can be a credit repair specialist with no experience.
Oh my God.
I don't have to know anything.
That's like number 2 whammy. I am like I just pray people like really get better at knowing who they're paying and for what level of service.
Yeah.
Because if I want somebody to improve my credit, I sure as heck hope they have an 800 plus score.
Yeah.
I sure as heck hope they don't have any unpaid collections.
Yeah.
I hope they have been years in the industry and not somebody who was just hired to be a cookie cutter business in a box type rep.
Yep.
Just because this is the most popular thing to do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's nuts.
Yeah. And what's crazy is it's like, we're not talking about, you know, a haircut or getting your nails done or something where you can go get it fixed or it fixes itself in a couple of weeks. We're talking about people's life savings. We're talking about people's attempts to buy homes and cars. And like, these are major, major purchases and life altering numbers. I mean,
yes.
your credit score can be a life altering number.
It absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
If that number dips in the wrong direction, it will change your life.
it definitely can change your life, and let's dumb it down. Like, let's pretend like, okay, let's talk to the person that's cash only.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but let's talk to the people who are like, well, I don't need credit because I got cash and I've got my stuff together. Okay, but what about things like finding housing?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know, for those who are renters, landlords, they sell their properties all the time. And God forbid, now you're out on the street and now you got to find some place to live. And that new landlord or the new apartment complex wants to check your credit.
Yep.
Now you're facing either 1, rejections,
yep.
or 2, very high deposits. So either way, it's going to cost you. The
right.
question is how much?
Right.
Let's talk about certain jobs. Certain jobs, working for the government, working, you know, with regards to handling cash, cashiers. Yeah. Like, people don't realize how much credit is so important. Mm-hmm. And I like to, you know, whenever I talk to my clients, I like to break it down like, it's like when you go to school and you show up to class and you get good grades or you don't, mm-hmm. right? Your report card turns into a transcript, and that transcript then helps determine what college you're going to get into.
Right.
Are you going to go to a community college or are you going to go to university?
Right.
Well, you know, just because you may get C's and D's that'll allow you the GPA to get into certain schools, you're not going to get into those top level universities.
Yep.
Same with credit scores. Yes, you can get a job, but you may not get that best job. There's actually even licensing. People wanting to get a life insurance license, they got bankruptcies on their credit report.
Really?
They don't qualify.
I did not know.
So
that.
There's certain licensing, life licensing, real estate, even to be notary. Like, think about it. Like, people don't realize those. If you want to talk to people about life insurance and money,
touche,
and you filed bankruptcy or you've got a really low credit score, that life insurance company is not going to want to take the risk in you not consulting your client well, because of your bad past behaviors.
Right.
So like we got to really do better, and we really got to focus on how important credit really is and what kind of roadblock it can be to get you to where you ultimately want to go.
Well, and also it's funny because when you hit a certain point, what I've realized is, when you're in the 5s, even the low 6s, you're always trying to figure out, okay, will I get this card? Will I not get that card? Will I get this apartment? Will I maybe get that apartment? Right. I hope this thing, it's always this, not a test, but it feels like you have to do a lot of homework, right, to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Once you go over 7 and definitely 8,
yes,
I feel like you don't have to ask questions anymore. Like you really, you just go like, where do I want to live? I'll pick that apartment. Or where do I want to get a lender if I want to buy a house? I'll call that person. Like you stop having to ask those questions like, do you know someone who can help me if, and then you start, you know what I mean? Your low credit scores, my this, my collections, my whatever. But if you take I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not, down talking anyone who's in that position, but if you take the time to solve that part,
yes,
it makes so much easier later. Yes, you might not get that thing you want today, but if you put in the 6 months, the 12 months, sometimes the 18 months and get it there, whole different conversations when you walk into rooms. And for me, I like those conversations. Like I like walking in a room and if I don't get the answer I want, being like, all right, I'm good. I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I already know I qualify somewhere else. Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
So let's talk about that because you're like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and my head is already saying, no. What? Why so long?
We're talking credit repair. That's the credit repair schedule, remember?
No. Well, and for those who are listening, who are maybe currently active in a credit repair program, I always tell my clients, if you haven't seen results, if you haven't seen any changes whatsoever with your credit report or scores in the first 60 days, chances are there's nothing they can do for you. You should be able to see results at least within 30 days. Why? It takes the credit bureaus 30 days to investigate. So why aren't we seeing results at 30 days?
Okay, so let's be real. I'm about to challenge you right now. Okay. For all the listeners out there who don't believe you. Are you saying no matter how bad a person's credit report is, you're confident that there's something you can do to change their situation in 30 days?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if I believe that one. If you're listening, email us a credit report so I can have Eva do this. But go ahead, though.
Seriously. So, and like I always like to like even challenge myself, right? Yeah. Because I like to grow. I like to learn. I like to push the envelope. Yep. And I want to say the fastest I've been able to help somebody increase their credit score, not by me doing anything, but just by looking at their report and telling them, do this by this date and do it exactly how I tell you to do it. They've been able to raise their credit score in 6 days.
What?
As little as 6 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I take pride. I take pride in my knowledge and my brain.
Did you get a shirt that says 6 days for 60 points or something? I don't know how many points it was.
But yeah, it does not take long. You got to have somebody who's experienced in knowing things like, okay, what are we talking about? Are we talking about, an on-time credit card? Are we talking about an unpaid collection item?
Right.
Are we talking about reporting dates and date of last activities?
Right.
Like, you need to know. And if you don't, if you cannot within confidence say, if you do this by this time, your score will look like this, then you've got problems.
So it's funny because whenever I ask you questions about my credit or decisions I should make, it's always, and it used to annoy me when you would say it, but I get it now. Like whenever I'd ask you a question, you'd always be like, well, it depends. And I'm like, no, that's not, I need an answer. Right. But I realized over time, it really is a strategic thing, right? Like
Absolutely.
you can know certain things and you can learn the credit bureaus, you can learn the scores, you can learn how to read the reports, but even now, and we talked about this last week, I have a good score. I have a great score and I think I have great credit now, but there's still things that I'll hear you talk about or I'll ask you about that are very strategic that I would have never thought of, right? It's just, it's crazy that it's not what seems like a very simple or systematic, and it is a system, but what seems like it should be cookie cutter is so not.
Absolutely
at
not.
all.
It shouldn't even be treated cookie cutter.
Right.
Because every individual has their own credit report, their own credit score. There is no two credit reports alike.
Yeah.
There's just no way. There's just too many variables. People don't realize is that credit score, it's a mathematical formula based on open accounts, close accounts, how old are the accounts, payment history, collections, balances. All of that is in the mathematical formula.
Yeah.
And if people don't even know how that's calculated, which a lot of people don't,
No.
then they can't with confidence tell you, oh, by this date, your credit score is going to look like this.
Right.
Somebody who's been in the industry for this long, looking at thousands of credit reports on all kinds of walks of life, it takes me 10 minutes max. Look at a credit report, tell me your goals. Okay, do this, this, and this. And in 30, 60, 90 days, this is where you'll be. But you got to do what I tell you to do. Now, if you sit on the information, I can't control that speed.
That's on you. Right.
But if you do exactly what I tell you to do, without a doubt. And I love those success stories. I love when people screenshot me and tell me, oh my gosh, my credit score went up. I'm like, I told you. I told you. What did I say? Now go share this with somebody, because it's so important, especially for those who have been in a situation to where maybe they paid somebody else and they just felt time was wasted, money was wasted, and now they gave up. And now they don't have hope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And that's hard. I will admit from personal experience, that's very hard.
Yeah.
And we talked about that before. Like when we first met, I'd already paid people. So I came to you and I was just like, I'm not paying anybody else. But one, you have to pay to get information. Like that's never going to change. But that was the first time I saw results, right? Like I paid and got my money's worth finally, if you will.
Absolutely. But then also, if you are coming from a bad experience or a negative experience and you see something online or somebody is recommending a person for a service, follow the success stories.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh, well, my friend told me to call this person and it sounds good. Where the success stories?
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, on purpose, on social media, I'm constantly sharing screenshots and testimonials and success stories, because it's important and it's real.
Yeah.
I can't fake that.
Yeah.
And that's why I tag people. So that people can see, no, this is real. It's not an altered
right. You can hit up so-and-so and they will tell you.
And and this is why, I tell my mentees in my program, do not be afraid. I understand that, maybe finances weren't good in the past and, we're coming from a not so good credit space. But man, if you went from the 500s to the 600s, shout that out.
Yeah.
You're going from the 600 to 700, shout that out. Your interest rate on your car loan went from a 15% down to 3%. Shout that out.
Right.
Because people think that's not even possible.
Right.
And it's only if people start being comfortable with talking about money, talking about credit, is when we're going to start to see this shift in the world.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, is that you're right, because we're not comfortable talking about money. We've never been comfortable talking about money. Black and brown people are even less comfortable talking about money, unless, the irony is, unless they're showing off money that they may or may not actually have, but that's a different story.
Right.
But when it comes to credit and making those decisions, then it becomes super personal and super vulnerable almost.
Yeah.
To walk into a room and be like, oh, I got a 580. I don't know what to do. Right. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When you do make the progress, then why are we not talking about that? Right. We talk about, because what's funny is that achievement is better than some of the other ones we talk about. Right. People will shout out their new car online.
Yes.
They won't tell you they're paying 29% interest for it, though.
God. It's so crazy because when I see these stories, I'm like, please let it be like a 3% interest rate.
Yeah.
Like, please let it be a low payment.
Right.
Like I automatically,
you don't even care about the car. You're like, I hope you're not paying a lot of interest.
Yes. Like
right.
my brain automatically shifts to like, I hope it was a good loan. Like, I hope,
Right.
Yeah. And, to talk a little bit earlier about how you said, the credit score, we need to make this a priority. We need to make finances a priority and credit a priority, because if we think, you know what, I can't do nothing about it, my scores are 500, let it be, life is going to hit.
Yeah.
And when it hits, the question becomes, are you financially prepared to make a move, a financial move?
Yeah.
And if we aren't equipped with the right resources, such as having a good credit score, now we're having to borrow money at a high interest rate. Yeah. Now we're having to borrow money from the ugly financial institutions, the loan sharks, the payday loans, the title loans, the 30% interest. And once we get into that situation, it is an ugly downward spiral, because it's so hard to recover from that, because now we have a financial burden. We have a high payment at a high rate. No matter how much money we pay, that financial institution is eating people up alive.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to shift from those not so good credit scores to the 680s, the 700s, the 800s. Why? So that you can have the posture. Yeah. You can have the posture where you can go into a car dealership and call the shots. Yeah. You can apply for the better credit cards with 0% interest, with the free flights, with the miles. You can get the best interest rate on your home loan, saving you thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands across 30 years. Yeah. And that's what people need to be thinking about.
And you got to be careful, though, because it'll make you super arrogant. Not going to lie. When you get this credit score, like, I just want to warn people when they work with you.
You know what?
Because I say this because it was me. Like, I told you the one car I bought that I paid stupid interest for years ago. Mm-hmm. I was in that car lot practically begging for the car. That man could have told me, I have to cut off 2 of your toes before I can give it to you. And I would have been like, just let me pick which ones. Like, that's how bad I needed this car.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the last car I bought after we had done all my credit stuff, whatever. The first lot I went to, I called the lady before I was coming. I was like, hey, I'm on my way. I'll be there in like 20 minutes. And so I get there, and all of a sudden, when I get to the thing, I'm like, hey, where's the lady at? And they're like, oh, she went to lunch. I was like, I literally just called her and told her I was on my way. They're like, yeah, she said you might be coming by, but she went to lunch. What? I was like, okay. And so they said, do you want to wait? I was like, no, I'm going to go to the lot down the street and buy my car there.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I left, went down the street and bought my car.
As you should.
Because I'm kind of that kind of a person. Absolutely. But at the same time, I'm like, I knew it wasn't the days where I'm going to beg you. No. I knew I could go to any lot and get a car, qualify. They would bend over backwards. So, and don't get me wrong, like, go take your lunch. I'm all for it. But if it was me and I knew money was coming in the door, I'm going to eat a sandwich at my desk till you get here. Like, that's just me. But
well, and that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You should be able to have the choices, have the opportunities to decide, do I want to shop at this place or do I want to take my business elsewhere?
Yep.
And it's crazy because, like, this is a type of posture that I'm teaching my mentees. Mm-hmm. Okay, once we level up that credit score, it's a whole new perspective, whole new world where you don't have to settle and beg
people
for them to give you business. Yep. As a matter of fact, we need to be operating from a space to where we should be giving them our business, but they need to be like, oh shoot, Eva's coming in the door. We need to help her. Mm-hmm. Like, let's clear the building. Mm-hmm. We need to help her because of, the credibility, the credit score, how she manages money. And that goes for anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
But people don't even think that exists.
Well, even when they pull your credit score, they stop talking to you crazy. When you first walk in, depending on how you're dressed, depending on what you look like, they're like, what can we do for you today, sir? And you're like, I just want to, we'll see what we can do. Then they run your stuff and they're like, sir, can we get you a coffee? Do you want to?
Snacks. Snacks.
Y'all got food? I didn't know y'all had food.
Oh, that's going to be a next episode.
You didn't have food when you thought I was broke. But yeah, all right, we'll save that. Let's go back to credit repair.
Definitely save
Let's
that.
go back to credit repair. Okay, yeah. So credit repair, like, no, you always say you do not do credit repair. You make that very clear to anyone who calls you.
Right.
You're a credit coach. You coach people on ways to go. You advise them on things to do, but you do not do credit repair in the traditional sense.
Right.
Let's say there are those people out there who are like, I'm still not hearing what she's saying. I'm going to go do it my way.
Yeah.
What should those people ask if they are going to reach out to a credit repair person?
Number one, how long have you been in this industry for? Number two.
And when you say this industry, just credit repair?
Just credit repair.
Okay. All right.
Credit repair.
Yep.
How long have you been in the industry for?
Yep.
How many people have you actually helped get their scores above a 700?
Mm-hmm.
We should not be operating in bare minimum.
Yeah.
Bare minimum in my mind, 620. That's where good credit starts.
Yep.
We don't do bare minimums.
Yep.
We shoot for excellence.
Yep.
So how many people have you actually helped get above a 700 FICO score?
Right. Right. You mean not the Credit Karma score?
Definitely not. Oh, my goodness. Number three.
Yes.
What credit reporting or monitoring service do you subscribe to?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's another thing. Oh, man. People are going to hate me. A lot of these credit repair services, they show you credit scores that are not FICO scores. They show Vantage scores,
okay,
which a Vantage score will appear at a higher number than a FICO.
Okay.
So when people think that their credit scores are actually increasing, yes, because the mathematical formula is completely off by at least 100 points.
Right.
So number three, what credit monitoring service do you use? Because if they're not using FICO scores, that right there's a red flag.
Okay.
And number three, push the envelope. Or number four, push the envelope. What's your credit score look like? Can you show it to me?
And show it to me on Experian.
Show it to me on Experian.
Yeah.
Show it to me as a FICO score.
Yep.
Like you should be able to screenshot it to me and send it to me.
Yeah.
Like quit playing.
Yeah.
Quit playing. If you tell me you've been helping people raise their credit scores, I want to see success stories. Ask for references.
Yeah.
Why not? If you're in the real estate industry or really for whatever, but let's use real estate industry and you're hiring a contractor. Do you not ask them for references?
Absolutely.
Do we not do, a little bit of a background check?
Absolutely.
You're paying somebody for a service. Why wouldn't we take the extra step in asking more questions? But I think people are just so afraid.
Yeah.
Not afraid, but maybe there's this little sense of, I got bad credit and maybe I'm not worth asking these questions.
There's probably some truth to that, but those people should also know, like, it's your money.
Definitely.
You are about to spend, and if you're in that position and you don't have a lot of money or you're worried about what to do with the money,
yes,
that's all the more reason to ask these questions before you write that first check.
Absolutely.
Or, whatever you do, write that check.
And lastly, because improving credit scores generally is a two-step process.
Right.
The first step is improving the negatives.
Right.
Okay, so ask questions. Well, what are you going to, I'm paying you to do what exactly?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to send letters and we're going to get these items deleted. How long does that take?
Yep.
If they use words like, well, maybe.
Give me
4 to 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I don't know about you, but I don't got 4 to 6 months. Like a lot can happen in 4 to 6 months.
Absolutely.
I do not have time for that. But most importantly, ask, what are you paying for? And push the envelope again. You're going to send letters. Can I get copies of what you're sending?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're paying someone to send letters, those letters are on your behalf.
With your name on it.
With your name on it. So God forbid they put something in that letter. And I've seen it. Like, I'm not saying this. Maybe this will happen. I've seen this happen.
Right.
Where credit repair services will send letters to the credit bureaus, to the third-party collectors, using certain language to get them to delete the accounts. But if they use the wrong language, that collector may feel some type of way. And then it may force the collector to take legal action.
Oh, wow.
Putting the client in an even more ugly situation. For example, guys, take note. If there's anybody that's going to send out a cease and desist letter, what that truly means is if a cease and desist letter goes out to a collection agency,
it's like a threat, isn't it?
Lightweight. Yeah. While everybody's like, oh yeah, just cease and desist them like it's a cool term. No, this is what could happen.
Yeah.
When you cease and desist, what that basically means is, collector, do not call me. I don't want to have anything to do with this debt. Good luck. I don't owe you any money. Stop calling me. Stop hounding me. Stop collecting.
And if I'm a collector.
And if you're a collector.
I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, good. I'm going to get my money.
And as a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and send you a summons. I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
And now this client who's thinking items are getting deleted now gets a hand-delivered summons telling them there's a court date. You think that credit repair person is going to show up in court?
Right.
Do you, as a matter of fact, do you think they're going to actually even tell you how to remedy that?
Right.
Now, I can. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I have experience in the process. So I tell people, like, hey, if this debt is within the statute of limitations, like, we want to be very careful with how we talk to these collectors because, again, you know, like, you owe them some money. If they got documents, they've got signatures, and you push them in a certain way, they can just retaliate and just take legal action. Now they got a judgment.
Absolutely.
And now if we're talking California judgment, that's good for 10 years. And if a judgment is on your credit report, good luck trying to buy a house.
That's crazy.
And let's take it a step further. Credit repair. Oh, don't worry about it. We will delete all of the public records. Okay, but guess what? You go by the house and there's a judgment sitting with the county. When you go by the house and they do a title search and they go run county docs, it may not be on your credit report, but it's still in the background. So bam, there goes the house. Like, I hope you guys are getting these golden nuggets, because while it can seem easy to pay, I don't know what it costs these days, X amount of dollars up front to get started, X amount of dollars for the next couple of months. If these are debts that are truly owed and they're still within the statute of limitations, no, guys, let's get good at finding solutions to best resolve these accounts so that they no longer are a roadblock.
Yeah.
So they're no longer preventing you from being able to do the bigger and better things that you might want to do later on. You might not think you need to do them right now, and that's okay. But guess what? Life is going to continue to pass us by. And at some point in time, we're going to need those credit scores for something. So we need to, and we should start working on it today versus putting a Band-Aid over it and dealing with it later.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think all credit repair is bad?
I can't say all, but I can say everything that I see online and everything that people tell me, customers that have been with those types of services and they come to me, I ask questions and it all sounds the same.
Right.
And I don't know how it can all be the same when every individual is different.
Yeah. Well, because even the success stories, right? If somebody says, oh, well, you know, I got Jimmy's 2 collections deleted, and people were like, see, they delete collections. But it's like, you have no idea what those collections were.
No.
You have no idea why they were on there.
Yep.
You have no, like, they could have just been already past the statute of limitations or past the 7 years and they just forgot to take them off.
Absolutely.
Right. Or he could have actually been paying on them and you just got it deleted for the last 20. Like, there are a million different ways that could have happened.
A million different ways.
And it's not that it's just like, oh, they automatically delete collections.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not how that works.
Absolutely. And that's super important, because just because they show the famous screenshot of all these accounts and right next to it says deleted, 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 number one, we don't know if they're permanently deleted or if they come back in 30 days because they were validated.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, maybe they were duplicate accounts.
Yep.
And the Fair Credit Reporting Act says information on a credit report that is incorrect has the right to be deleted, and duplicate accounts can be deleted.
Right.
So yes, every situation is different. But also what's most important in terms of what really sets me apart from the other guys is I'm truly coming from a space of education.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you come to me, I'm going to help you understand your credit report. I'm going to tell you what to do to raise your credit scores. Most importantly, how to clean up the negative and rebuild with positive.
Yeah.
That's part 2.
Yep.
Cleaning up. Yeah, that could be daunting to some people, but that's just one piece.
Yeah.
You need to rebuild.
Yep.
And not just rebuild with, I call them the ugly accounts.
Right.
Not just rebuild with mediocre accounts, but rebuild with the best accounts so that you can really see your credit score rise in 30 to 60 days.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like, and I didn't think about this for a while until we started working together. And it's one of those situations where it's easy to go to credit repair because you think that's going to fix stuff. But to me, it's no different than any other version of a repair, right? So something keeps breaking. You keep going to get a Band-Aid on it.
Yes.
It breaks again. You go get a Band-Aid on it. But never are you taking the time to go, okay, why is this breaking?
Right.
And how do I keep from breaking it again? And more importantly, is there any way I can get a better one of these?
Yes.
So it doesn't keep breaking, right? Like
Exactly.
we just take the one we have and we're always trying to duct tape it and fix it and glue it and whatever.
Mm.
And to me, it kind of feels like that's what credit repair is because to your point, like no one's actually teaching you anything.
Right.
No one's telling you what to do different or how to do things different. And so even if somebody makes your collections go away or a collection account go away, have they taught you anything about what to do next and what to apply for next and what to do when you get that card and which card to have and
how to manage it,
you know what
how
I mean?
to protect it, and
yeah.
how to make sure that we are truly equipped with the right information to keep that credit score high.
Yeah. Because it's not credit that's the bad guy.
No.
Everyone blames it on credit, right? Like
Yes.
the way we all grew up,
Yep.
credit is bad, credit cards are bad. It's not the credit, it's the human behaviors that misuse or abuse the credit that are the problem.
Absolutely.
Credit is how everyone does everything. What's funny is people who look like me, let's say, will say, I don't have credit cards. Credit cards are bad. My mom always told me don't get credit cards, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then they'll go pay, let's say, rent in an apartment or they'll rent a house, not realizing that the person they're renting from has paid for that with credit and they're paying their bill.
Yeah.
So you won't get credit for you, but you will pay someone else's credit bills to up their score so they can continue to do those things while you pay them. You know what I mean? Like it's but if we don't change what people know and what they believe,
right,
they'll never get out of that kind of thought process. Right.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know. It's interesting to me. So, okay. Do I want to make you slam on credit repair anymore? I always like making you have these conversations. I love watching your face like just go crazy red when I say credit repair.
I do.
Did I tell you about the one I saw the other day online? It was kind of funny. So for those of you out there, so I'm kind of a math nerd. I like numbers, and I know a lot of people don't. But if you do, one of my funniest or one of my favorite posts about credit is all these people act like all the scores are finite, right? So and by finite, like exact. So you will get 50 points for inquiries. You will get 100 points for this.
God.
You will get 120. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
So
that drives me so crazy.
So
I'm like, hold on. Are you a secret spy for FICO?
Right.
Like, do you work at Fair Isaac and Company to know the internals of how that mathematical formula is calculated?
But what's crazy is whenever I see that posted, and they're always like, late or payment history is worth 192 points. So I saw one the other day. This is where this is getting at.
I did. You screenshotted it.
I saw one the other day.
So funny.
And the guy had it posted on his page. He's like, I do credit repair. And so it's like you can get, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers, but it's basically like you can get 190 points for payment history and 120 points for this and 50 points for that. And so, you know me, I like do the math And I wrote on his post, I was like, hey dog, that's only 550 points. Like, how do I get over a 700? Like, so, and I was kind of trying to be a pain in the butt, but at the same time, it's like that basic ridiculousness that because we're in a point of desperation or because we're just so frustrated or like you said, we've been paying somebody, we don't even stop to do the simple stuff. And then that was one instance where I was looking at it and I was just like, man, your math isn't even adding up. So if that's the best you can give me, you'll never be able to tell me how to get to an 800 because you don't even have the points for it based on your formula.
No, I would be like, okay, so show me your credit score and tell me all the
how many points you got for each one. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you show me a 600, I'll be like, well, you get the extra 50 points for them because your math is only 550.
Yeah, you're not going to get that from me.
Yeah.
I don't care how many years in the industry I'm in. No.
To all the listeners, every week,
how that works.
Every week, I'm going to ask her how many points I get for something until she answers.
Oh man, there's just and that's the thing. It's like, where do they come up with this stuff? Like, quit playing. Yeah. But like, I commend you for challenging that. I'm pretty sure they blocked you already.
I'm sure.
And these are the things, right? Social media is such. It can be an amazing resource and then it can be a not so good thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at the comments. Let's look at the comments and let's see who is actually challenging. And if nobody is challenging, that's a red flag.
Because they've deleted them.
I've
been deleted off a few.
Yeah, and blocked.
Yes.
But also, most importantly, like, are there any people saying that's right because that's what he did for me or that's what she did for me? Like, go follow me and here's what my credit score looks like. Follow the success stories.
Yeah.
Because if people are just out there just, copying and pasting and taking somebody else's idea, which I swear, like, there must be a school for this.
I was about to say, I think there's a database of these posts because it's always the same.
It's always the same. It's just different backgrounds and different fonts. And I'm just like,
same numbers.
And like, guys, if you aren't following me on social media, make sure you are following me on my Instagram, Eve_empowers, because you won't find that kind of nonsense on my stuff.
Right.
Because it's not real.
Right.
Like, it's not real. Like, I don't know how people are coming up with this. And honestly, I think they come up with it just to sound smart.
Yeah.
Until somebody challenges.
Yeah.
And me, like, I'm not the one. Like, I don't got time to be on there challenging people.
I do.
I'm just like,
I do. All day, every day.
Not me. I'm like, you know what? I know what I got. I know how I've been taught. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, because what I've learned and what I'm teaching is creating success stories. That's how I know it works.
Yeah.
That's how I know it works.
And for the record, I don't want people listening to think that you found the pettiest co-hosts in history. The only reason that it bothers me so much, and I've told you this before, is there's a reason that when I'm on these posts, I ask these questions or I go, hey, that math doesn't work, or that's not actually how you do it, or whatever. Yeah. And it's not to be petty. It's not to mess with anybody's business, but it's because I spent so many years not knowing how to fix my credit.
Right.
And I feel like I spent so many years getting wrong information that now it bothers me, especially when I'm in spaces of certain people, certain kinds of people being sold the same BS all the time. I think that's what bothers me, is when I'm just like, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep hustling with information that's not right?
And I have to say, like that's the worst part, is why are we hustling? Not we, but the world hustling one another instead of actually educating and empowering people to duplicate the right information.
Yep.
And that's why, like, I'm so passionate about what I do. Yeah. That's why it's EmpowerYou, so that we can empower people with the right information so that they can know better to do better. Right. This is not come to me, I stick you in a database, we're going to send letters, we're going to get things deleted, and voila, wave a magic wand, and now you a 700. No. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk for an hour about your 3 credit reports, where your scores are at, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and how to strategically raise those scores to get you to where you want to be, but also credit education. What accounts to open? Why? Better relationships, better services, so that later on you are equipped with the right information. Now you can take that information and share it with your partner, share it with your children, share it with your grandchildren, heck, share it with the world, so that we can do better. Because there's just so much nonsense out there. Like, stop. Let's get good at knowing the facts. Let's get good with our money and our finances so that we can really be able to level up and create that financial freedom that everybody desires to have.
The system is the same. The system exists. We just have to take the time to learn the system. And once we learn it, then we can play. We can play the same way everybody else does without having to hustle, without having to try and get over, without being sneaky. Like, it's the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay, real quick before we go, recap the 4 things you told people to ask credit repair people. One, it is what do they use, right?
So number 1, which credit monitoring
That's
service
what it was,
to
monitoring
use.
service, yep.
Make sure that it's a FICO score system, preferably Experian.com. No, I don't get paid by Experian. I should, but no. If they're looking at things like Identity IQ, that's not a FICO score system. If they're doing Credit Karma, not a FICO score system. So make sure that they're looking at what truly matters, what the lenders are looking at. So yes, what monitoring service do they use? Number 2, how long have they been in the industry for? Number 3, how many people have they raised? How many people did they help get at least 700 scores for?
And referrals.
Yep. And
number 4 was, what's their score?
Yeah, challenge them. Yeah. What's your credit score looking like?
I think you sent me yours when we first started.
Absolutely. I don't play.
Oh, all right.
I don't play. No, never mind. Heck no. As a matter of fact, like a couple weeks ago, I posted my 803 or 806 and my 245,000 in available credit limits and all of that. No, know that who you invest your money with needs to be a product of the product.
Absolutely.
Because if they're not, that's questionable.
And how are they going to teach, right?
How are they going to teach if they haven't done it themselves?
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Well, hopefully everybody wrote those questions down, and those who are still doing credit repair, go ask. I'm going to try not to bring up credit repair so you don't get all bothered every time we do episodes, but maybe every once in a while I'll throw it out there just to get you riled up. But no, beyond that, thank you everybody for listening. We hope to see you guys back next week. And that's it.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
Take a look at what you see, what I become. It ain't hard to tell. Young legend, I'm an icon.